George W. Ferriell was born on May 20th, 1956 in Richmond, Indiana, to parents John and Anna Marie Ferriell. He has an older brother, John, and a younger brother, Dick. He has fond memories of growing up on the family farm in Richmond and playing sports with his brothers, cousin, and neighbor. They were always playing baseball or football outside or basketball in the barn. George and his brothers also raised cattle, fed and watered them, and took care of fencing. George says his younger brother, Dick, being the baby of the family, was exempt from getting in trouble, and his older brother, John, was the ornery one. Of course, George always followed him and did what he said. His brother never got in trouble because he was John Jr. That always left George to get all the blame, which means he got stuck with most of the feeding and watering. George played sports, starting in Little League and through high school. He attended Centerville High School and graduated in May 1974. His dad went to all the games because his mom worked nights at their pizzeria. During high school, George worked at the pizzeria too. Of course, it was when his mom said he had to. And it was typically after a tough football game or a basketball game. And his pay? Well, he got to eat all he wanted. His mom had the only pizzeria restaurant in Richmond at the time. George delivered all over town. His mom knew every street and alley and told him where to go. He says he never got the first nickel tip. College came around fast, and before he knew it, he was practicing baseball at Hanover College. He says he'll never forget the first few games there. The first game was in Kentucky, and the snow was blowing across the field. A couple of weeks later, they played at Findlay College in Findlay, Ohio, and they literally swept the snow off the infield. He thought he'd entered a winter baseball league. With hard work and dedication, by the end of his senior year, he made all-conference, broke the school home run record, and led the team in runs batted in. He played all over Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan, and his dad was always there, sitting in the stands at every game all 4 years. What an example. So when George's kids started playing sports, he tried his best to attend every game and event.
3 words stick out to me when I think of George Ferriell. Great friend, family man, and honesty. When you tell George something, it's in confidence. He always gives great advice, and he's just there for you. And that's the best thing I can say about George, is he's always there for you.
There's that saying that, they broke the mold. And if you've met him, he is the most unique individual. There's so many sides to him, and I don't know of anybody that is like him. He's an extremely positive person. He thinks we can do anything. There's sky's the limit with him. He was always that way at the bank. In working with him for 21 years, I can't think of a day where he had a bad day.
George graduated Hanover College May 28, 1978, with a business degree. He started working for Household Finance Corporation right out of college and did that for 2 years. First National Bank in Richmond became his employer for the following 6 years, where he was branch manager and loan officer. During that time, he graduated from Agriculture Banking School at Purdue University. In 1986, he was planning on going to work at a bank in Liberty. The president of Bath State Bank heard that George was going to Liberty and gave him a call. After their conversation, George knew he wanted to go to Bath. His career at Bath State Bank started on June 9, 1986, and that's where he stayed for 32 years until his retirement on December 31, 2018. He started out as assistant vice president to executive vice president and head of lending. He became president and CEO in May of 2007, and he retired in 2018. He then worked part-time for the bank's holding company for the next 2.5 years. He's still on the board of directors and has held that position for 34 years.
Bath Bank, to know something about them, they're in a town of 10 houses and 30 people. Very small bank, and just by definition of that bank and what it needed to do to survive is you had to be an entrepreneur. You had to look for opportunities of how you could find your niche and expand upon it. When he came to the bank, we were doing business in a radius of about 7 miles away from the bank, probably reaching into a little bit of Liberty and College Corner, maybe a little bit of Brookville. And for us to survive, we knew we needed to expand that territory. That's where the entrepreneurial part of him came out, in that looking for opportunities, what we did well, which a lot of it was agricultural lending, residential lending, and how to expand that. And when I left after working with him for 21 years, he was responsible for many things at the bank, including the lending function. And when I left, we were doing business in over 30 counties in Indiana and Ohio. He's got relationships all over the place, and he stays true to them. He's loyal to them. And small bank doesn't go out and just put out marketing campaigns. What it has to do to grow is to get to know the customer and build relationships and be personal. That's George to a T. If you know George, he's as outgoing and friendly and can build those relationships. And he taught the loan department to do the same thing.
During his career at Bath State Bank, he met his wife, Tina. They married on September 20th, 2004, and blended their families. They have 4 children: Jennifer, George Jr., Renee, and Drew, and 6 grandchildren: Logan, Bryce, Caleb, Gavin, Adrian, and Corbin. Their children and grandchildren are their lives. They live each day for them and try to plan their schedules around them. They attend as many of their grandsons' athletic events as possible. Since retirement, George has enjoyed having the time to see family more often and be able to help support his dad. He is most proud of watching all 4 of his children grow up and have successful careers. George continues his community involvement and enjoys the board and committee positions he holds. Volunteerism has been part of his working career for many years. It is something he believes in, and he never limited the employees of Bath on the amount of time that they could spend on outside involvement. He believes that volunteerism makes our community strong, so he has never said no to a staff member that needed to be gone for a longer period of time.
His volunteerism, I mean, it's unmatched, really, as far as how involved he's been in different organizations. Junior Achievement, he has a long time connection with them, and promoting that within the bank, getting people involved and engaged in raising money and for different causes. He's just always promoted that. Gosh, you look at the number of hours he gave to Junior Achievement or he gave to other organizations, that's got to come out of your time somewhere, and that means he's given up his personal time for the benefit of others. And that's just part of his makeup.
George's involvement with the youth in the community currently include Junior Achievement, Red Men of Richmond and Brookville, and the Reed Foundation Board, Stewardship, and Governance Committees. His past involvement includes Franklin County Community Foundation Scholarship Committee, Indiana Bankers Association Board of Directors for 6 years, Indiana Bankers Association Audit Committee for 3 years, Dr. Seuss Read Across America, and serving on the Indiana Council for Economic Education. His involvement with Junior Achievement is extensive. He has served on the Board of Directors and the Executive Committee, as well as committees for golf and 5K fundraisers and the JA Scholarship. He has consulted in over 45 classes as a JA mentor. He has been the JA Volunteer of the Year, JA Board Member of the Year, and last year received an award for 35 years of service to JA.
We were asked to do a class, and it was a senior economics class where we would go in, and they formed a company, and we were the consultants for that company. And that's, I think it's 1987 that we started. We took a couple classes. We didn't just do one, and we did it kind of like a dog and pony show a little bit. And if you know George, he can live up to that with his personality and the way he does things. But we really enjoyed it. It was 1 day a week that we would meet with 1 or 2 classes. There was one year I know that we took 3 classes and really took that program and tried to make it into something. Enjoyed working with the kids. At that point, we saw the benefit and having the connection with them, and did that for 6 or 7 years. And then I kind of backed away from it for some other projects while George just went headfirst into the JA program.
Other honors include being elected to state officer for the Improved Order of the Red Men, a featured story in the Indiana Bankers Association Who's Your Bankers magazine, and receiving the Citizenship Award at Bath State Bank for community involvement. In business, his most vivid memory is working through the recessionary years at the bank with a dedicated staff while providing everything to their customers and community. He said this was the most challenging time in business. His happiest memory was being able to serve the public for over 40 years and helping families get the things in life that they need and want. He is most proud of the staff at Bath State Bank and to be part of the Bath family.
Yeah, one side of him that people might not see is the guy's compassionate. And in 2000, my son was a school teacher and a coach. And on his way back to a sectional volleyball game on a Saturday, he was in an accident and he lost his life. And so it was such a traumatic experience to go through. And Monday morning, George came and he showed up at my door with Brandon Logue, the individual that's taken his place as president. And along with his condolences and his sympathy, they said, we got this. Don't worry about the bank. And, that my sanity was dependent on that because I just was in no shape to go back to the bank and take that on with everything else that was going on in my life. I was out for a while. He said, come back whenever you're ready. If it's a year, come back. And boy, that it made a difference for me, made a difference for my family. And in that time period, I had a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of balls in the air, and I never told them about one of them, and never got a call. They did it, and that's just typical of his life. And there's a lot of stories out there about him doing that. You see the humor, you see how he is and everything, but you don't necessarily know that, the compassion he has for people and their well-being.
George is a member of Holy Family Catholic Church. His hobbies include working out in his home gym and playing guitar. When asked what he hopes people will remember about him, George said, "I always helped people, whether it was during normal work hours, through the week, or on weekends. No matter what time, I always tried to be there for them."
I would like to say a hearty congratulations to a man that is well deserved of this honor and of any honor that he gets just because of everything he gives back to everyone that knows him, to every organization he's been involved with. Congratulations, George. God bless you, and well deserved.
Junior Achievement is proud to honor one of this year's laureates for their 2022 Business Hall of Fame, Mr. George Ferriell.